Okay, this demonstration is just on how to put boning into your corset. Now I've just done up a small sample. It's basically just two pieces sewn together. So this is the seam of your bodice, the standard seam allowance. You've got your boning. Now it's got a bit of a curve to it. To control that curve, you can place a whole lot in a bowl of water. Alright, and then you can manipulate it more. This one's already been put in. So the first thing you're going to do, on the edges here, they can be quite sharp. So we get some acrylic felt. Acrylic felt is a bit stiffer than normal felt. It works quite well. You can use ribbon as well. We just cover the tip of that so it won't wear through the fabric, and it also won't hurt the person who's going to wear the bodice. When you place your boning in, we're going to place it, this particular style is onto the seam. There are other ones where you can put boning on the sides of the bodice, not on the seam, and you insert it into a tube. We're going to use this particular technique. You must remember to allow your seam allowance. If you don't allow your seam allowance, this is going to be sewn. You'd sew straight over your boning, and you don't want to do that. So we're going to give ourselves a seam allowance there. Just pin that in place, just to hold it for us. Cover the other end, just folding it over, down, and I've already cut this boning to allow for my seam allowance. So I've got my seam allowance at the bottom as well. You can see that's got a fair curve to it. So again, we can just manipulate that by placing it in hot water, in a bowl of hot water, and we can manipulate that around. When you're placing it on here and pinning it in place, you want to have it in the center, because we're actually going to sew down the sides to put it in place. So all pinned up, ready to go. Set my machine just to standard length 2 and on straight stitch. We're going to sew this in place. I'm going to sew along this line here of the boning, making sure it's in the center, and sewing a cover in place as well. And remove the pin once you've got the needle down, because that will hold it in place. Make sure it's nice and centered. Remember to keep your needle down when you turn your corner to hold everything in place. Remember, this will all be hidden in your lining. So it's nice and secure now, in place. When we turn it over, I've done it with white thread so you can see, but that's how it would look on your corset. If you did not wish to see the lines, then you would use a thread the same colour as your fabric, so I would have used black. Okay, but here it secures it, it goes along the seam, and that gives us our strength for our bodice.